second Cup Series championship. He's going to be contending against Chase Elliott, going for his first championship and the first for Chevrolet since 2016. Denny Hamlin with Toyota. Can he get his first championship? But Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski teammate, going for number 2. All that right here. Good afternoon, everyone. Joe Samaniego, Kobe Lambus from the Podium Finish, and we have Adam, our supercar correspondent, join us for a special episode of Grid Live Pre-Race. This is pretty much the big championship weekend for NASCAR. Special welcome to all our listeners on the Ultimate Sports Radio Network, USRN. And of course, definitely a shout out to Jessica from Paddock Insight. You can follow her on YouTube or Twitter at Paddock Insight. And of course, Matt from the World Motorsport League at grid_WML. We have a lot to preview today. The Grand Prix Europe for MotoGP, and of course the big one, NASCAR, the championship season finale, 500 from Phoenix.
Oh yeah, definitely really excited for Championship 4 race weekend. But before we get into the Cup Series, gonna review last night's chaotic getting into the Truck Series Championship race. Yeah, definitely very thrilling at the end. For the most part, the race was calm, went by quickly, almost without any major incident. However, things took a sharp turn with 3 laps to go. Dawson Cram went around to bring out the caution in this race. Brett Moffitt's 4-second lead, and he wasn't happy at all on the radio. He was destined to win the championship, and he had to reset for a late race restart. And Moffitt stayed out while Sheldon Creed, his GMS Racing teammate, came to pit road for fresh tires, and we had to restart with 2 laps to go. The 2-lap shootout in NASCAR overtime to determine this year's Truck Series champion. And Moffitt got swallowed up on the restart and faded quickly as Sheldon Creed took advantage of the fresher tires, power into the lead and taking the checkered flag. And not only did Sheldon Creed win the race, but he secured the 2020 Truck Series Championship. And after the race, Brett Moffitt was livid. He was fuming and heavily criticized his GMS Racing team, and he definitely didn't sound like a guy who's returning to the organization next year. But we'll see what his plans are for 2021. Joe, on Grid Tonight, we evaluated the current Championship 4, and we talked about the criticism behind this current championship format. Moffitt was going to win the title, but the whole thing got decided by a late race restart. And my question for you and Adam, did this perfectly highlight the concerns that many have about a method of determining a champion nowadays?
It does highlight the big concern about how the championship is decided, especially Brett Moffitt. If that caution didn't come out, unless there was some sort of mechanical or flat tire or total, like something broke and wrecked the truck, it looked like he was well on his way to getting a championship. Now that championship is out of the picture with a late restart, fresher tires. But one can make the argument, Sheldon Creed, all of them, they put themselves in position with the fresher tires in the event there was this late caution, and they went ahead and utilized it. It is different for me, especially with the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series doing this. Truck Series, of course, all these drivers are trying to go up to the Cup Series. That's their main goal, try to advance their careers. So it is interesting to have this more of a format where it does reward more of a entertainment value and doesn't highlight a season overall, where especially for these upcoming drivers, they want to highlight an entire season, what they've done, and why they deserve a spot in the Cup. So it does highlight some of that, as you mentioned. What do you take of this, Adam?
Well, I really do like the format of the Truck Series. Like you said, Joe, there's a lot of up and coming drivers who one day really want to get into the Cup Series. You had 4 really great drivers last night battling for a championship. They've worked all year long to get to that spot, and last night was like anything can happen at any given time. Brett Moffitt was there until that late race caution, and then Sheldon Creed came in, got some new tires, and he charged the field and won the championship. And I'll say congratulations to him and his team. They were there when it counted.
Yeah, definitely, Adam. Completely agree with you. Sheldon Creed was there when it counted, and I do think that Sheldon Creed is a legitimate champion. Considering all of the races that he's won this year, and he ran a lot better than he did last year. So I think tip of the hat to Sheldon Creed and his team for taking advantage of that opportunity. So definitely when we're criticizing the championship format here, we're definitely not trying to take away from anything that Sheldon Creed and his team have done, and I do think that they are deserving champions. I think it's the fact that Brett Moffitt was on his way to win the championship, had a comfortable 4 second lead. Then it was all a race, and then the championship decided by one restart, and Moffitt just got shuffled all the way to the end of the top 10 there when it looked like he was going to win the race. And it's really understandable to see why Brett Moffitt was really upset with his team last night because he was 3 laps away from winning his second championship, and he just slipped away at the end. Unfortunately, those type of things just happen with this championship format. And another championship that's happening today we'll crown the 2020 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion today at Phoenix, and we have a link in the video description to our discussion about the Xfinity Championship 4. And be sure to check out our grid tonight when we discuss the legitimacy of the NASCAR playoff. Joe, Adam, we've hit the final race of the 2020 season on time as originally scheduled. What are some of the emotions that you're feeling as we enter this final racing weekend of the 2020 NASCAR season?
Honestly, one of the big ones is relief. With the way everything has been going this year, especially with the pandemic, to say, okay, we're getting to our off season, the original off season date we have planned. So this isn't our early end. This isn't the delay end. This is what we schedule. It is a big sense of relief for NASCAR. I know, especially when it comes to the grid ranking. The grid ranking, we still have a contested title with MotoGP, and excuse me, not MotoGP, but with Formula One still racing. Can Lewis Hamilton catch up to Scott McLaughlin? So, considering the circumstances of this year, it is a relief. I think it's been a really big positive year overall for NASCAR, especially some of the big changes that they made earlier this year, getting rid of the Confederate flag, making sure that the sport will be in a better spot to get new fans in the upcoming future. Because 2021, there's still a lot of unknowns, but I feel NASCAR could say we did a good job, the season delivered, and people are generally excited as well about this championship race.
I want to say congratulations to NASCAR for an incredible 2020 season. Who would have thought that you would have 4 drivers from different manufacturers competing for a title? We started out with the craziness at the Daytona 500, where Denny Hamlin won. Ryan Newman had a really big accident, and we didn't know if he was going to be alive after it, but he recovered. He came back to race in the number 6 car. I gotta say, my hat's off to everyone in the NASCAR organization. It was pretty cool for me to see the All-Star race at Bristol Motor Speedway. It's sad that it won't be there next year, but I'm hoping it comes back real soon. And I gotta say, 2021 will be a really interesting year. You have Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan teaming up in a new car with Bubba Wallace as the driver. Um, Michael Jordan, he really likes to win, so I believe that Bubba Wallace will find a way to win next year. And this off season should be a really good one.
Guys, we made it. We made it. I can't believe that we actually made it to the end of the 2020 season, considering the pandemic and everything. And when NASCAR shut down back in the spring, I honestly didn't know if we were going to see any racing at all for the remainder of the season. But but as soon as we learned more about the virus that's causing chaos all over the world, NASCAR put together a plan to keep all the drivers, teams, and everyone involved at the track safe to make sure that they're not getting sick. And NASCAR worked very hard on their plan, executed, and look where we are. And I'm really happy that we were able to persevere and make it all the way to the end of the season. And I'm be honest with you, I'm very surprised that we made it to the end of the season without a massive COVID-19 outbreak in the garage. Yeah, really happy that for the most part everyone's staying happy and healthy, and and considering all of the, considering everything that's happened this season, I think these teams and drivers, all of them deserve a great off season. To just sit back, relax, a great lie down before getting ready for the Daytona 500 in February, and of course the Championship 4 is our biggest priority in this program today, and we'll get into each driver profile a little later on. But the big talking point is still Kevin Harvick's elimination from championship contention. Adam, Joe, will he go out there and win this race considering how good he is at Phoenix? And if he does win, does this once again reflect on the flaws in the NASCAR playoff system?
Well, for me, I'm really surprised that Kevin Harvick did not make the championship four. I mean, he was the regular season champion. He had the most wins, and I do think he does have a shot to win at Phoenix. I mean, he'll go out there determined to win after what happened last week at Martinsville. He battled so hard to get into the Final Four, but things didn't go his way. So look for Kevin Harvick to be at the front or near the front when the checkered flag falls tomorrow night in Phoenix, Arizona.
Very well said. Pretty much, Kevin Harvick. It was going to be something, especially if he wins this race at Phoenix. I think a lot of folks will be talking about, okay, he just got his 10th win of the season, and he's the best he could do is fifth in the championship standings. Of course, I think with this big discussion of everything going on with NASCAR, the playoff format, no matter how well Kevin Harvick does, a lot of people are going to be focusing on him. If Kevin Harvick was to have a poor race, a bad race, I think then people would not be bringing up the flaws of this playoff system. But I anticipate Kevin Harvick to be up front. I anticipate him to be contending for the win. I do anticipate more discussion about the playoff system going forward.
Yeah, definitely a lot of discussion about the playoff system going forward. But honestly, based on some of the reaction I'm seeing on social media, that a lot of people said they're just getting tired of complaining about this format. They'd be like, "It is what it is." Yeah. They don't really like it. They don't feel like it's a legitimate, an authentic way to call a champion. But a lot of people, just saying, "Hey, not gonna complain anymore. We've already complained enough about it. So we're just gonna have to just keep moving forward with the hand we've been dealt." And I do agree with you. Kevin Harvick will almost certainly be in contention this weekend for the win. And when he does win, it's just gonna show us what could have been, because if we were in the format without playoffs, Kevin Hart would have already locked up the championship, and would have definitely been a well deserving champion this year, considering he's had a historic season. And it's really crazy that he's not going to have a chance to win the title this year. And and definitely Kevin Hart go out there and win on Sunday. Definitely going to be a lot of criticism, more criticism about this current championship format. And for the first time, Phoenix Raceway is hosting the championship weekend. I know we're all used to having Homestead, and it still feels strange to me that we're having a championship race not not in Homestead, Miami. And we mentioned Kevin Harvick is always good here at Phoenix, but the last time we were here, Tyler Reddick was the talk of the show until trouble later in the race. Joe, Adam, is Phoenix a good opportunity for Tyler Reddick to come back and end the season on a high note? It really seems like he's fallen off quite a bit in this final stretch of the season.
Yes, Phoenix, bring all the notes that you had this last time. Apply that in the car, especially without qualifying, without practice. Come out really strong. I know he's starting 21st today, so he's a little bit further back in the pack. But the big thing, I see potential for him to end the season on a high note. End the season on that high note, get everything all pretty much feeling good, ready for the 2021 season, and come back really strong. He has fallen off, especially after, once the playoffs start. It just seemed he was just nowhere in sight, nowhere in discussion. Of course, one of the things with the playoffs, a lot of times the focus goes to the playoff drivers. His teammate Austin Dillon was in the playoff, but definitely, I think this is a great opportunity for him to rebound.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, George. Tyler Reddick has had a really good year. I thought he would have won by now. He is in a really good car. I mean, he is but I think he'll be in the top 10, top 15 tomorrow. And in 2021, I expect Tyler Reddick to find a way to get into victory lane with RCR. And you never know. He could be a contender to win the championship next year.
I definitely agree with you, Adam, there about Tyler Reddick winning next year. Yeah, and it's been really a surprise that he hasn't won this year. I thought Reddick was gonna come out and win a race in his rookie year. They got off to that red hot start at the beginning of the season, but it seems like lately things haven't really been going his way. So when we're looking at what happened in the spring, Reddick was absolutely impressive going up against those Cup drivers with tons of experience. And since things have fallen off in recent weeks, I'm returning to a place where he was the one of the main talking points from this race. I think heading back to Phoenix is going to be a great chance for him to come out and end the season on a high note. And Adam, I don't know if Reddick's going to be a championship contender next season, but hey, I've seen a lot of surprises in my day in the racing world. So maybe Tyler Reddick won't have a sophomore slump in the Cup Series and go out there and be a championship contender. But I really do see him winning a race next year. And looking back at something that happened last weekend, we saw team orders at Martinsville from Joe Gibbs Racing involving the number 20 team and Eric Jones. And I have two questions for you guys. This is a two-parter. Joe and Adam, do you see the potential for team orders this weekend, and to what extent?
I do see the potential for team orders. I would be shocked if we don't see team orders, especially if it's coming from Hendrick, Penske, Joe Gibbs Racing. The big reason, of course, you got drivers contending for the championship. With Joe Gibbs Racing, I will not be surprised if Denny Hamlin gets around Kyle Busch, one of the drivers for position, if he knows that's going to give him a little bit more distance from the other championship three. Penske, it's unique. They got two drivers in there. Their third driver, Ryan Blaney's not in the championship, so I don't anticipate Ryan Blaney to be really racing them hard, being in the way. The big thing, if we see team orders, I think is if you see a situation where you have a championship playoff contender leading, a non-playoff driver in second place, but their teammate of the second place driver in third place. I could anticipate that second place driver laying off to allow his teammate a shot to catch up to the leader and get a championship. It's just part of, I think, with this situation, you got these big teams, 3 to 4 cars, big time sponsorship deals along the line. When it comes for the championship, it's all fair game, I say, to win the championship, to tell a driver, hey, your teammate needs you to help right now.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, Joe. I believe there will be team orders tomorrow, especially coming from the top three teams, Hendrick, Penske, and Joe Gibbs. I mean, if I was them, I would, say for instance, Chase Elliott is leading, and maybe Jimmy Johnson is second. If I were Jimmy, I would find a way to block anyone, if so that Chase Elliott can win the championship. Tomorrow's race could go down as one of the best races in history, and uh, and I agree with everything you said, Joe. I I like the team orders. It's going to be good tomorrow, and I can't wait.
Yeah, that was a great example you used there, Adam. Especially if there's a situation, let's say, with Denny Hamlin needs to catch Joey Logano, who's running second, and let's say Kyle Busch is leading, and they need Kyle to like slow up Joey so Denny can catch up. I'm sure that could be a scenario that could happen. I'm not sure if it will, but definitely team orders is something that we'll have to watch out for on Sunday. And for Eric Jones, do you believe that he'll be racing in the top 10 or outside of the top 20, considering how the last part of the season hasn't gone his way at all? I mean, this is his final start at Joe Gibbs Racing before heading over to Richard Petty Motorsports, replacing Bubba Wallace.
Well, I think Eric Jones, he will he'll go all out tomorrow. Like you said, Kobe, it's his last drive for Joe Gibbs Racing. You might as well put it all on the line. You never know what could happen. So I'm going to say he'll be in the top 15 tomorrow and maybe sneak in to the top 10.
I do see Eric Jones being potentially top 15 for sure, possibly a top 10. He wants to go out there, prove he can win. I think he really wants to win, especially for the team he has, the pit crew, the crew chief, everyone that has working that 20 team, just to say, hey, we went out on top together before we all go our separate ways. The hard part, of course, with Denny Hamlin there, Denny Hamlin is, of course, going to be the center of attention for Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. If Denny Hamlin and and Eric Jones are both racing close to each other, Eric Jones will be behind. But if Eric Jones is running a good race, everybody will be in trouble because I will believe Denny Hamlin will also be having a good race as well.
Yeah, I'm sure Eric Jones will want to go out on a positive note with his number 20 team. Yeah, for not just Eric Jones, as other drivers as well. It's going to be a real emotional Sunday, especially for seven-time champion Jimmy Johnson's final race as a full-time driver in the number 48 car, Hendrick Motorsports. You have Eric Jones. Christopher Bell's going to be replacing him, and it's really going to be different next year. Going to be driving for Richard Petty Motorsports, a team that has equipment not as great as Joe Gibbs Race. I'm sure that everybody can agree with. And Eric Jones is going to be going to Richard Petty Motorsports next year with a chip on his shoulder, something to prove. He'll want to go out there and prove that Joe Gibbs Racing made a mistake to replace him with Christopher Bell, and I'm sure Jones is just looking to end his tenure here at JGR on a positive note. And we'll definitely have more NASCAR coverage later in the program, including a look at the championship for drivers. We'll have profiles on the four title contenders. Now it's time for MotoGP and the Grand Prix of Europe.
MotoGP Grand Prix of Europe is going to be a very exciting race weekend. Of course, after this weekend, they'll be down to 2 races left in their season. Of course, it's been a very busy week in the news for them. Earlier this week, MotoGP investigated into Yamaha for running unapproved engines during the first weekend at Jerez. They announced a penalty for the constructors, but not the riders. So no effect when it comes to the championship stands for all the riders. We discussed a lot more about this on Grid tonight, so definitely we encourage everyone to click on the link. It's in the video description. You can see all the latest from there. Yesterday, the big news, good news for Yamaha. Valentino Rossi tested negative, and he's going to be back in his Yamaha racing for the win. Happy to hear he has also fully recovered from the virus as well. Definitely, I know it was very scary for all of us when the news broke out a couple of weeks ago that he had tested positive. Now, with only 2 races left after tomorrow's race and the upcoming winter months ahead, is it more critical for all the riders to take more precautions, especially we know in Europe they are starting to enter shutdown lockdowns again?
Absolutely. All of these riders need to start taking the precautions because we're almost there. We're almost at the finish line. Just please try to protect yourself and don't mess everything up before before we get to the end of the season. And it's really crazy right now with the number of COVID-19 cases escalating. And not only do you want to protect yourself right now too, so you can be able to complete the season, but also for your health as well. I mean, this virus is nothing to play with. While it seems like the vast majority of people are going to be all right, a lot of people are unfortunately dying from this virus or having health conditions that will last for a lifetime. Yeah, so you definitely don't want to put yourself in position to get infected. And looking at everything from a racing standpoint, you just need to take care of everybody in the paddock. And I believe if you take all the precautions, take care of your neighbor, then everything's going to be perfectly fine.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Take all the precautions, take care of everyone, including especially neighbors as well. One of the big things we're hearing is a lot of times we're not seeing too much of a super spread event, but still communal spread is one of the big concerns. When it comes to MotoGP, of course, their season started very late, last out of any of the 7 series in the grid ranking. Assuming that now we have more understanding about the virus, the precautions we could take, hopefully they'll have a 2021 season that starts on time. Of course, MotoGP, a couple more races ahead. So definitely, we encourage everyone be sure to follow the Grid Network as well as Paddock Insight. Of course, Jessica usually is here with MotoGP coverage as well and analysis. You can follow her on Twitter. Now, taking a look at the top 10 stars for today's MotoGP race. Of course, there's definitely the talk of everybody. Joan Mir, fifth place. He is the points leader, leading. The top five riders are all 25 points within the points lead. That is essentially one win. Paul Espargaro led a KTM effort. He took the pole and totaled 3 KTMs in the top 10. A big race weekend. Of course, Nakagami, who was last weekend's race pole sitter, went on that first lap, starting third. He is definitely looking to try to get his first MotoGP win, rebound. And then, of course, everyone's probably wondering where is essentially the Yamaha of Maverick Vinales. Maverick Vinales, way back in 21st spot. Tough break for him. And then, of course, second place in the points, Fabio Quartararo, 11th in the points. So they're, 11th starting grid, but second in the points. So definitely big course for them to try to regain ground and move back up. Now, one of the things with them both starting so far behind, the two Suzukis are up front. We got Rins, we got Mir. Of course, Mir's leading the points. Rins has a win already. Kobe, do you see Suzuki having the upper hand against Yamaha this weekend?
Yeah, definitely. Suzuki has a lot more momentum than Yamaha, as we saw everything that happened or leading up with Yamaha with the unapproved engine. I think Yamaha's lost all of their momentum.
Yes, Yamaha seem to have lost a lot of their momentum, and this year, especially without Honda being such a dominant force, to say Ducati's the championship leader in the constructors, that is really something else. Yamaha, of course, with the troubles of Quartaro 11th, Vinales 21st, this year has really been nothing for them to really look at. The wins have been great. If they could get a rider to get the championship, that would be a big bonus. But definitely with the inconsistency issues this year, because it seems, especially with Vinales, he's either up front contending for the win or he falls back. We've seen Quartaro, who is going to be joining Vinales next year, up front, but then just start to fall back, even a couple DNFs already. My question, and this is not just for MotoGP riders, but for all racers, with the inconsistency we are seeing, if a rider is so inconsistent where it's almost unsure where they're going to go up towards the front or fall back, does that get into the driver's head that I need to be consistent? The pressure starts to build up, and could that be a distraction? Or is that something where the drivers just know, especially this year, it's just one of those years where the consistency, we don't have it, let's just go out there for wins?
Well. When you're looking at all the championships around the world, I think it's just situational, depending on the championship format. As you see in most championships around the world, consistency and winning is often rewarded. But when you're looking at the NASCAR championship format, you can be inconsistent, win here and there, and still win the championship. So I think for the most part, in most racing championships, that inconsistency will bother you, and inconsistency is not necessarily a good thing. But when you're looking at the NASCAR Championship format again, you can afford to be inconsistent. You can win the Daytona 500, go 10 weeks, up and down, good finish, bad finish, good finish, bad finish, and then win another race, and good finish, bad finish, keep going on. Yeah, you can be inconsistent with this NASCAR Championship format and still win the championship. But all the other major motorsports top championships, yeah, inconsistency is not really good, and it definitely is bothersome.
Very bothersome. And you bring up a good point with NASCAR and depending on how your championship is awarded. Of course, Joan Mir, the points leader, no wins in MotoGP. And we're not just talking about this season, no wins. We're talking about since he came up to MotoGP, no wins. Of course, Franco Morbidelli, who is fourth in the points, is starting ninth. Essentially, that is the only big contender in the top 10 since we have Vinales and Quartaro both starting outside the top 10. Now, the top 15 in points score the top 15 finishers in each MotoGP race scores points. So anywhere from 15th up to the win 25 points. So with Mir starting up in fifth place, 4 spots for a first win, or definitely just stay within the top five and have your everyone finish behind you, he's going to extend his points lead. For Mir, especially at this point, does he just go out there, race his own race like he's been doing each and every week, being consistent? Or should he be aware of where Quartaro, Vinales, and Morbidello are on the track and try to respond, especially if they get ahead?
I really think he should definitely be aware of where his championship competitors are on the track. But I think it's just so you go out there and run his own race. It's really crazy situation in MotoGP right now. I know we'll touch on that in a little bit. That right now his points leader hasn't won a race, and it will be really crazy to send a winless champion because nowadays having a winless champion is almost unheard of, and usually that's a touchy subject for a lot of people. They don't really want to see a winless champion. They want to see a driver slash rider who went out there dominating, and was the best of the best. They don't want to see somebody who just goes out there, takes home the hardware, and not win a race. I think in today's day and age, it's just really weird to have a winless champion.
It'll be really weird not even to have one win. I feel if Mir was to go out and win this championship, he has to get at least one win. Of course, the way this year's MotoGP season has gone, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if he doesn't win a race, gets a championship, just because we don't see the consistency from anybody really to stay up there with him. Even in the grid ranking, Mir is the highest ranked MotoGP rider ahead of everybody else because of the consistency he has. Since we've been talking a lot about championships and, of course, even citing NASCAR, which has been, of course, a big discussion, especially after Kevin Harvick has been eliminated, Mir, through his consistency, built up a points lead he has right now. As I mentioned, the highest ranked MotoGP rider in the grid ranking. Still, no MotoGP wins. That's almost like, can you imagine someone winning the Winston Cup and they never won a race? If this went to go through, Mir won the championship but no race. Will we see an uproar about the format similar to what we're seeing in NASCAR? And how does this really differ compared to NASCAR's situation with their championship?
Yeah, I think the situation is both similar and different because yes, this would be a more authentic way over in MotoGP to get a champion, since it's not like any crazy playoff format. And I do think there will be some uproar because you expect the champion to win a race, and it'll definitely be really crazy if Mir goes on to win this championship without winning a single race. And yes, it's very authentic, but some people might not consider it legitimate, considering, cause if especially if he doesn't go out there and win a race. Looking at the NASCAR championship format, it's really hard nowadays to make it to the championship four without winning a race, since winning is so important nowadays, and those playoff points can carry you all the way throughout the playoffs. And unfortunately for others, the advantage of those playoff points will just run out, as we saw with Kevin Harvick. And it's definitely an interesting situation to follow, especially with the NASCAR Championship format and then the MotoGP Championship format with no playoffs.
It is a very interesting situation. MotoGP, we've seen essentially Mark Marquez just dominate the last few years, take the championship. And especially when you compare it to Formula One, where Formula One usually have 3 to 4 drivers to contend for the championship. This year, Lewis Hamilton just going out there dominating. When that dominating factor is gone, usually there's somebody else to step it up. A lot of folks thought that was going to be Quartaro after his 2 race wins in the first 2 races, but that hasn't delivered. Here we are now. Everybody's so inconsistent that Mir, just through finishing in the top 10, has this lead. One of the things that's really interesting compared to Formula One is how MotoGP does reward points for the top 15 finishers. I wonder if this is something where maybe they were to award just the top 10. Yes, Mir will probably have a bigger lead because a lot of times we've seen drivers finish within 11th through 15th and score points. but I think it will really make the emphasis that along with being consistent, if you got to be in the top 10, first off, you can't just be satisfactory 11th through 14th and 15th. But definitely, I feel put a bigger emphasis when it comes to winning. Now, speaking about winning and the emphasis, of course, we're going to return back to NASCAR.
Yeah, we're gonna start looking at the championship for drivers. And Phoenix Raceway is the new side of the championship race today, Xfinity, and tomorrow the big dance, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship. The Bill France Cup is on the line, and two drivers are looking at their first championship, and the other two looking for their second title. Both of those drivers represent Team Penske, and we're gonna start off with one of them in Brad Keselowski. And the 2012 Cup Series champion drives the number two Team Penske Ford Mustang. He's won at similar tracks, including a dominating performance at the flat track, New Hampshire, earlier this year. And Keselowski has 4 wins, 12 top fives, 23 top tens, and he signed a 1 year deal to return to Team Penske next year. Adam, Joe, Brad Keselowski starts third, and there's no stakes points on the line for any of these Championship 4 drivers. And with a fast car, if Keselowski were to fall behind, should he be concerned or should he just keep his cool and work towards the end?
For me, I think he should just take on. I think for me, he should take it easy, and I wouldn't be surprised tomorrow if Brad Keselowski, with a few laps to go, is in the top five, finding a way to win and win that championship. He will go out there no matter what and try to get that number two car in victory lane and hoist that championship one more time for Roger Penske and his
When it
team.
comes to Brad Keselowski, he has a fast car. That car dominated New Hampshire. If he was to start falling behind, maybe the handling's not there, not a concern to panic. The big thing, you're going to have the stage cautions ahead, but you're not going to be eligible for stage points. So neither will your opponents. Big thing is just try to be in a position for the end of the race to try to get that win. If you get that win, you're very likely, well, in fact, if you get to win, you got the championship. Second place, you got to still make sure you finish ahead of three others. So this, I think, plays in his advantage. If he has a good, fast car, even if mid-race they start to fall back a little bit, no need to panic. Just when the pit stops come, adjust it. You got a fast car. Work your way towards the front again and try to get ahead of your competitors.
And we all know that Brad Keselowski is the only driver to have a teammate in the championship four, and he was the one who encouraged Roger Penske to pick up Joey Logano after his tenure at Joe Gibbs Racing was coming to an end several years ago. And overall, they've worked well together, but they still race each other hard. I remember earlier in the season, they had a few differences, but it seems like that's been worked out over time. And of course, Ryan Blaney is their teammate. And they also have the Team Penske alliance with Wood Brothers Racing, the number 21 car with Matt Benedetto behind the wheel. Do you think that Joey Logano, like, can racing Logano be a distraction to Brad Keselowski, or would they just go for it no matter what?
I believe Kislowski, he's known to just go for it. He races people hard. The big thing, he is a smart racer in the aspect he'll realize this is my teammate. Gonna race him hard, but I'm not gonna do anything that could take us both out because that would be at the end. Roger Penske's biggest problem is if the two teammates take each other out. If it was the last lap of the race, well, that's a different story. But I see Brad Keselowski. He's not going to be distracted by Joey Logano racing against him. At the end, Joey Logano is just another vehicle to get around.
I completely agree with everything you just said, Joe. Brad Keselowski will go all out to win tomorrow and win the championship. If it's the last lap and Joey Logano's leading, Brad, he will find a way to get around him and win that championship no matter what.
Yeah, definitely. I believe in this situation that these two Team Penske drivers are gonna go all out and do whatever they can to win the championship. It'll certainly be interesting if they're 1-2 in the final laps of the race. I don't know what would happen then. I wonder what Roger Penske would would call on the radio. I wonder would he let his drivers would he let his drivers race really hard, or would he tell them to take care of one another? And I haven't seen this before. I wonder if a teammate would be willing to wreck another teammate to win the championship. I'm not sure if we're going to see that this weekend, but that's certainly something that we'll have to keep following. And now we're going to take a look at Joey Logano, the 2018 Cup Series champion. Joey Logano definitely wants to claim another championship. Has 3 wins this season, including most recently at Kansas, which got him in the championship four, and he has 11 top fives and 20 top tens. Joe, when Joey Logano originally joined Team Penske, did you honestly expect that he would have this much success?
When he joined Team Penske, my concern was especially what we saw at Joe Gibbs Racing. Joey Logano, 1 win. That was a rain shortened race. Of course, under the crew chief of Greg Zipadelli, who of course had a lot of success with Tony Stewart. The two of them didn't have that much success. Towards the end of his tenure with Joe Gibbs Racing, he started putting together some good runs, but never could close the deal. One of the big things that got him attention was when he and Kevin Harvick got together at Pocono, and he mentioned on how essentially he believed Delana wore the fire suit in the family. That got a lot of attention. When he joined the 22 team, my concern was I didn't think Logano would be the great fit. The same time, that 22 team, since Roger Penske brought the 22 Shell vehicle back, we saw Kurt Busch start off the season. He lasted 1 year, essentially got terminated after an incident on Homestead with an ESPN reporter. The next year, AJ Allmendinger was in that seat. I anticipate AJ Allmendinger to have good things. He had done a great job with Richard Petty the year before, but again, just missed opportunities here and there, didn't get a win, and then of course he missed literally the second half of the season due to a violation of NASCAR drug testing policy. So Logano was to be the next driver, and I was just concerned that he would not deliver. Boy, was I wrong. Joey Logano has made the 22 team essentially his team, and I think essentially that is just part of the racing aspect where now we're starting to really see maybe there's something about Joe Gibbs Racing where some drivers excel and some drivers don't excel.
Yeah, definitely. Some drivers seem to do well at Joe Gibbs Racing, while others don't. And yeah, that's what we saw at Joey Logano, and most recently Eric Jones is going to be moving to Richard Petty Motorsports next year. And Joey Logano has definitely shown that he's not afraid to get physical and race everyone hard. And he's said time and time again he's out there to take care of himself and his family. Adam, Joe, is Joey Logano the one driver none of these championship four want behind him on the last lap, especially since he has the no friends mindset behind the wheel?
Yep, it's called Tomorrow Joey Logano. He'll go out just like his teammate Brad Keselowski. He'll drive. He'll drive very hard, and if it's if Joey Logano's in the top five tomorrow and he's in contention, you know he'll find a way to get to the front and win the championship. I wouldn't be surprised if Joey Logano is not in the top five tomorrow after the race. He'll go all out to win, and he's like me. We're both from New England, so I have to. So I hope he really does win the championship and bring another one back to his hometown of Middletown, Connecticut.
Logano, the last lap, he is the last driver I want behind me. We saw what he did in Martinsville to get into the championship four by pushing Truex out of the way. And Truex said he may have won the war, but you're not going to win the battle. Well, that didn't work out. Logano went out there and got the championship in front of Truex, in fact. Logano is going to race everyone hard. With his mindset, he is not going to cut anybody slack. That last lap, if he's told, hey, you're running in fourth place, that car ahead of you is the championship contender and they're going to win the championship, I will not be surprised if Logano, especially the unique configuration of Phoenix, where the start finish line is in the old turn one, turn two, I can see after the dog like Logano just trying to really send it, do what Ryan Newman did to Kyle Larson, put Kyle Larson in the wall, get in the championship. But for Logano, it'll be a championship winning move, and I will not be surprised by Logano doing something like that on the last lap to ensure his championship.
Yeah, and Joey Logano is definitely the one driver that I don't want behind me either, especially since I mentioned that no friends. I said Joey Logano doesn't. He brings. I know Ross Chastain said this a lot, but Joey Logano has the mindset is I bring my friends with me on the track. I don't have them on. I don't have them. I'm not racing against them on the track. I bring my friends with me, and I do think that there's pros and cons to that mindset right there. Because definitely if you have some friends on the track, they're gonna cut you some slack in some key moments. Especially there might be some key moments late in the race in lap traffic, like if you're about to lap your buddy in whatever car they're driving, then they might cut you some slack and let you go by without any issue. But if it's somebody that you've really made mad time and time again, they might try to hold you up they probably won't wreck you or do anything like that. But they basically do to Ryan Newman and make a car so wide where it'll be so hard to pass. Yeah, yeah. So definitely, Joey Logano is definitely not a popular guy in the garage among the drivers, but but certainly that mindset's got him where he is today, and he's in contention to potentially win another championship. And looking at a driver who can potentially win his very first Cup championship is Denny Hamlin. And for a while, it looked like he was in trouble of making the championship four last weekend at Martinsville, especially in the closing stages of the race. Yeah, and he won the Talladega playoff race, but his last win before that was Dover in August. And of course, we know that he's going to be a part of the 2311 racing team with Michael Jordan and Bubba Wallace next year. Adam, Joe, can Denny reclaim some of the dominating performance he had prior to Dover and get his first championship?
I do believe that Denny Hamlin, he will go all out to win his first championship tomorrow. Um, like you said, Kobe, he's going to be part owner of a new team next year. You know, you might as well go all out. It's your swan song, and he'll go all out to win tomorrow. I mean, he started the year winning the Daytona 500. He's had two other wins, so for me, Denny Hamlin, he will be a championship contender tomorrow.
Denny Hamlin will be a championship contender tomorrow. I agree with you, Adam. Big thing, of course, can he get the speed? Can he get back on his form? One of the things that stands out to me about Denny Hamlin was especially when he was running against Jimmy Johnson for the championship. He came into Homestead battling Jimmy for a championship. At the end, he had an early spin in that race, was off the pace with splitter damage. Jimmy got a championship. Phoenix, this is going to be big for him. He has success at this track. He knows how to get it done. His crew chief, he knows the crew chief could put him in a good spot to win. The big thing, especially post pandemic, they know how to win. Just loading the car off the truck, put it on the grid, and race. He needs to deliver a good performance, a good race, and really, I think, have faith in the crew chief, in his pit crew. If that car comes off and it's not 100%, tell the crew chief, get the car better. They're not in a situation where they luck themselves in here. They have a good number of wins. They won at Talladega. That may be a bit of a lucky win, but they're still good and they're still a championship contender going for the cup.
Yeah, and Hamlin has 7 wins, 17 top fives, and 20 top tens, and he was the Daytona 500 winner. And the last time we saw the Daytona 500 winner, the last time we saw a driver win the Daytona 500 in the championship was 2013, and that was Jimmy Johnson. And of course, Denny was strong in last year's season finale at Homestead until a large piece of tape on the grill really ended up costing him. Joe, Adam, if Denny doesn't win the championship this year, would this be a missed opportunity? And if he doesn't win, will he ever win that long-awaited Cup Series championship.
This feels like the best opportunity for him. It's really interesting though, with this playoff format. Essentially, I feel he is, when you look at the numbers, the favorite. 7 wins. If it was Kevin Harvick in there, his 9 wins. And of course, if we didn't have a playoff format, Kevin Harvick would be the champion. So this is Denny Hamlin's, in my opinion, best opportunity to win the championship. We know how hard it is to come back the following year and compete. We've seen a lot of times the driver that finished second in the championship struggle the next year, doesn't have that full form. Denny Hamlin, after last year's heartbreak at Homestead, he came out and won the Daytona 500. He won 6 more races, plus Talladega. He is in the championship for a reason, and I think this is definitely his biggest, best opportunity for the Cup.
I completely agree with you, Joe. Tomorrow, Denny Hamlin, this will be the best opportunity he's got to win a championship. Even if he doesn't win tomorrow, I do believe before he retires, Denny Hamlin will have at least 2 to 3 championships. He's a great driver. He's had a really successful year this year, and I think that tomorrow he'll have a really good shot to put that number 11 car in victory lane and win the championship.
And looking at one other driver looking for his first Cup Series championship is Chase Elliott, the fan favorite. And many have connected him to the year 1988 when the Los Angeles Lakers and the Los Angeles Dodgers won their championship alongside Bill Elliott winning his NASCAR Cup championship. Yeah, Chase may be the fan favorite, but is he really the underdog compared to the other three? I know with Joe and I on Grid tonight, we talked about the long shots in the Truck Series and Xfinity Series. We said Zane Smith was a long shot to win the Truck Series, and last night ended up finished second in the championship. And then our long shot for the Xfinity race today is Justin Haley. Do you think Chase Elliott is the long shot? Although he definitely has a strong opportunity to win at Phoenix.
Um, coming off this win last week in Martinsville, where he completely dominated, Chase Elliott, he'll go all out to win the championship. Like you said, Kobe, 1988, the Dodgers won the World Series, Lakers won the NBA Finals, and his dad won the NASCAR championship. To me, I think with everything that's happened this year, I'm gonna say I'm picking Chase Elliott to win the championship tomorrow. He's never won here at Phoenix, but you never know. I mean, he's starting on the pole tomorrow. He's got a really good car, really good team. So I think Chase Elliott is he to me, he's not an underdog. He's the favorite to hoist that championship tomorrow in Phoenix.
Chase Elliott winning the championship will be huge for the sport. He is one of NASCAR's most popular drivers. I believe he got NASCAR's most popular driver award last year. He winning the championship will be very popular with the fans. Will it happen? That is a big question we're all going to find out tomorrow. Chase Elliott, of course, a lot of people would say he hadn't really reached superstar status prior to this year. A couple wins here or there, get into the playoffs, didn't really do anything. This year, different story. He delivered a performance at Martinsville that I feel solidify his claim that I deserve a shot at the championship. I'm going to race for the championship. My opinion, I believe when it comes to the four he's racing against, he is the underdog. But this isn't like the underdog of, a driver way in the back that sort of pointed their way in and doesn't have the speed. He has the speed. He has a team. He has the car. It's going to be a close four for the championship.
Yeah, definitely, and I know we talked about it on our post race program last week. Said that Chase Elliott has definitely taken the next step in his career, and will he win a championship? That's to be decided. But even if Chase doesn't win the championship this year, I think he'll definitely become a champion at some point because Chase Elliott is really developing and coming into his own, and he's finally becoming the driver that many expected him to be as he started to progress as he started progressing through the ranks of NASCAR. And this is the first time that a Chevrolet driver has been in the championship four since 2016, when Jimmy Johnson won his record tie seventh Cup Series championship. And speaking of Jimmy Johnson, this will be his final race as a full-time NASCAR Cup driver, and many are comparing, the end of his career to 1992. Can he? Can he? Yeah. When you're looking at everything that's going on, can he deliver a big day to Hendrick Motorsports when looking at Chase Elliott, can Chase Elliott deliver a big day to Hendrick Motorsports by winning his first championship as we say farewell to Jimmy Johnson?
But Chase Elliott, if he was to win this championship, it will be a huge day at Hendrick Motorsports. Essentially, it almost really does see as like the passing of the torch from Jimmy Johnson, seven-time Cup champion, Chase Elliott, first Cup champion, and in my opinion, he would be seen as the number one driver of Hendrick Motorsports if that was to happen. And that could be pretty critical considering next year you're going to have Kyle Larson joining you. You're going to have Alex Bowman in that 48 ride next year as well. So definitely, I think if he could deliver, it'll go down as one of the biggest days for Hendrick Motorsports.
I completely agree with you, Joe. I mean, Jimmy Johnson has had a career. He'll go down as one of the greatest NASCAR drivers in history. 7 championships. He's won the Daytona 500. I mean, and if Chase Elliott does win the championship tomorrow, I agree. It'll go down as one of the greatest moments in Hendrick Motorsports history. They've had so many great moments in that organization, from when Jeff Gordon won the inaugural Brickyard 400 to Terry Labonte winning the championship. So, yeah, I'll say if Chase Elliott wins the championship tomorrow, it will go down as one of the greatest moments in Hendrick Motorsports history.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. It will go down as one of the greatest moments. And now we all know Jimmy Johnson will be moving to the NTT IndyCar Series next year, full time with Chip Ganassi Racing sponsorship from Carvana. And many would love to see Jimmy Johnson get one more win, but into a storybook career. Adam Joe, Jimmy Johnson, seven-time NASCAR Cup Series champion. He's up there on Mount Rushmore with Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt Sr. When we're looking back at Jimmy Johnson's NASCAR career as a whole, what will stand out the most from his tenure in NASCAR?
His 7 championships. I mean, no one thought that he could do what Richard Petty and the late great Dale Earnhardt Sr. did. When he won those championships in a row, I mean, I didn't think he could do it. Jimmy Johnson he started out racing off-road trucks in Mickey Thompson Off-Road Series. He went over and raced in the ASA Series, or American Speed Association Series, competing on the short tracks in the Midwest. Then when he went on then to compete in, well, what was then called the Busch Series. And then Rick Hendrick and Jeff Gordon saw something in him. They snatched him up. I mean, he had a really great tenure with Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouses as his sponsor. I mean, to me, if I had to put Jimmy Johnson in my top 5 list, he's would be probably either 4th or 5th. I mean, he'll go down as one of the greatest drivers in NASCAR history, and I wish him complete success as he now goes on and competes in the NTT IndyCar Series with Chip Ganassi in 2021.
Jimmy Johnson's tenure in NASCAR, I think will be remembered easily as one of the best drivers that a lot of us seen. I was fortunate that I can still remember when Richard Petty was racing. Of course, early 90s, so Richard Petty wasn't the most competitive vehicle back then, but I was also very fortunate to see Dale Earnhardt. I remember 1993, 1994, getting that seventh championship. And as Adam said, seven championships. I thought, wow, at least I got to see the end when Dale Earnhardt got seventh championship to tie Richard Petty. 2002. Okay, we got Jimmy Johnson. He's going to be in the Hendrick Motorsports, his new 48 number. Let's see what happens. Wow, what a ride. What he did, five championships in a row, no other driver in sports could do it. When we seen him get the big wins, the Daytona 500, Southern 500, Coca-Cola 600, he dominated Charlotte Motor Speedways for a long time. At the end, he will easily, I think, be up there with Dale Earnhardt, Richard Petty, especially in this era of the playoff format. He did it through three different playoff formats: the original chase, then the chase where we had wild card winners, and then of course the playoff format prior to the introductions of the stage points, which many could say was the more tricky one because every round they totally reset it, and he got that championship fighting against three others of the best that year. And I wish Jimmy Johnson definitely the best of luck when it comes to the NTT IndyCar Series next year.
Yeah, looking at Jimmy Johnson's career as a whole, like wow, what a career! It's amazing. He was able to win seven championships in so many different championship formats. And honestly, I would be really surprised if we see another driver for the remainder of NASCAR history win seven championships, especially with the current format. It makes it really hard to win really hard to win that amount of championship. And Jimmy Johnson, as I mentioned, definitely up there on Mount Rushmore with Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty and everything he's accomplished. I'm sure it's probably not the end into his career that he wanted. He's struggled a lot in recent years, but look at in the grand scheme of things, Jimmy has nothing to be ashamed of. He's had an amazing career in these and all of the struggles he had in the past couple of years. It doesn't take away from everything that he's done for the sport, given to this sport, and looking at everything that off the track. I think NASCAR is really going to miss Jimmy Johnson the person, along with Jimmy Johnson the driver, because it seems like Jimmy's been the voice of the garage, and we saw it when we had that news incident at Talladega with Bubba Wallace. Jimmy Johnson took a leadership role and made sure that everybody's showed love and support for Bubba and Jimmy Johnson, powerful voice in that garage. And I really think that as a whole, everyone has a lot of respect for him. I know a lot of fans when he was dominating, winning all those championships, they didn't really like it at all because I felt like he was just going out there winning everything, and they wanted to see different championship winners. And then over the years, people really started to respect Jimmy Johnson. And I remember when I was coming along during Jimmy Johnson's prime years when he was winning all those titles, people did not like him at all, and they really wanted him to lose. And over the years, the the narrative's changed about Jimmy Johnson. And this year, I've seen more people wanting, like cheering for him to win more than ever before because I feel like he deserves to go out a winner. And if Jimmy's not able to win at Phoenix, it will be an unfortunate ending to his full time NASCAR career if he's unable to win again. But still, no matter what happens at Phoenix, Jimmy Johnson will forever be a 7-time champion. And and people will always look up to him as one of the greatest drivers that NASCAR has ever seen. And before we get to our pick a winner, want to share some breaking news that happened. And Kelly Crandall from Racer.com reported that on Chris Devota's Facebook page, she said that this will be her last broadcast with NBC, citing that we are living in tough times and there are many others who receive similar phone calls, and that she was told by NBC that they will no longer be utilizing a host for their NASCAR program. And Adam and Joe, hearing this news about Chris Devota, she's certainly been one of the more popular NASCAR broadcasters over the years. Very, very well respected throughout the industry. And we know with this pandemic and everything that these companies are they have to make these tough calls, unfortunate decisions where they have to cut people because the fallout from the pandemic, it's been rough, especially in the media industry. What's your initial reactions to this news that Krista Voda is going to be added NBC?
Well, to me, Christopher has done a really great job over the years. I have so much respect for her, and this is a complete shock to me. I I hope she finds another place to go. Uh, she will be missed and she will be missed on the telecast, and hope she finds some place to go in the near future.
I very much agree. It is very unfortunate, especially with this pandemic. We know earlier it was announced about ESPN doing a big round of layoffs as well. To hear that NBC Sports, most likely NBC as a network, and all the networks are facing these decisions, it's really rough. We know Krista has done a lot for the sport. Of course, she was one of the first few females we've seen in motorsports in a hosting role. And definitely, I still recall from her appearances on essentially the old speed channel trackside programs, engaging with the fans. I think it's going to be a big presence miss, and it's really unfortunate. I know we definitely be sending our best wishes to Krista out there because she's done a really phenomenal job, and we hope something good comes down for her.
Yeah, definitely hope something good comes down from Cristo. We know she came from NASCAR on Fox, and NASCAR on Fox is still kicking. She'll be able to go home to Fox if there's a role there. I don't know if there will be, but definitely Krista Voda's been she's definitely been one of the most recognizable names in NASCAR broadcasting, and also very influential. And I know we have a Great Girls program, Joe, with you and Daniel from Racers Behind the Helmet. You know, highlighting the women in motorsport. And Krista Voda is definitely one of the more notable names of women in motorsport because you mentioned, you know, female hosts in NASCAR. We don't really have a lot of those in comparison to the number of hosts who are male, but the number of women hosts there growing and growing each year that passes by, and that's wonderful to see. And and considering everything that Chris Voda has accomplished in her broadcasting career, it's a real shame that she's out at NBC. And yeah, definitely sending her well wishes. Understand that it's a really hard time during this pandemic for everyone. Yeah, I understand these businesses have to make these type of tough decisions, and it's just an unfortunate situation where nobody's a winner.
Nobody's a winner. It's just really hard, and it's really unfortunate that this news was to break, especially on championship weekend. For me, I love NASCAR. I love the sport. I will, of course, be looking forward to the race. Will be really hard to accept that when we see Krista Voda on NASCAR America post race. It could be one of her final appearances. Hopefully, maybe she'll be back on Fox. Somewhere we'll see her in the future hosting again. Of course, now it's time for pick a winner. Pick a winner. We're getting down towards the end. Of course, pick a winner. It will continue on after the NASCAR Cup Series has ended. We still have Formula One. We still have MotoGP and World Rally Championship. So people are starting to run out of time. You're going to try to catch up to Kobe. 20 right now. I'm still at 11. Jessica, she got Lewis Hamilton last weekend. She's now up to third with 7 wins. We're going to start out with something a little bit different, though, since it is the championship race. We're going to start with the Xfinity Series. We'll start with you, Adam. Who do you got winning it?
For me, I'm going to go with Justin Allgaier driving for Junior Motorsports. He has had a really great year. I mean, a lot of people are picking him. The last time I appeared on here, my pick, well, didn't do so good. So I'm hoping to bounce back with Justin Allgaier winning the Xfinity Series championship.
Oh, that's a great pick, Adam. Justin Allgaier is really good at Phoenix, and I feel like that the championship race being at this track instead of Homestead is definitely going to suit him a lot better. However, I'm going to go with the driver who's had the most dominant season so far in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and that's Chase Briscoe.
Chase Briscoe's a good pick. Just I'm gonna go with a bit of a surprise. I anticipate this race to be probably the most craziest race of the race weekend. I'm gonna go with Justin Haley. I think he's gonna. After what we saw yesterday, I feel anything could happen and could easily steal a championship. Now, MotoGP Grand Prix of Europe. Kobe, who do you have?
Oh wow. I think I'm gonna go with Maverick Vinales.
Maverick Vinales. That would be a really big win for him. I think when it comes to this one, Suzuki, after the last race weekend, they got the points leader. Rins knows how to win. And I think Alex Rins is going to take the win, making another win for Suzuki and catch up to Ducati in that Constructor Championship. Now, of course, the big race, the championship season finale, Phoenix Raceway, NASCAR Cup Series. When it comes to that race, who do you have?
Well, well, like we talked about earlier on the show, 1988, the Los Angeles Dodgers won the World Series. The Los Angeles Lakers won the NBA Finals, and Austin Bill from Dawsonville won the championship. Well, it's 2020. The Dodgers won the World Series. The Lakers won the NBA Finals, and when the dust is settled tomorrow in Phoenix, Arizona, I'm going with Chase Elliott to do what his father did in 1988 and hoist that championship. And that Dawsonville pool room will go crazy tomorrow night.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure if Chase Elliott wins, that would definitely go really crazy down in Dawsonville. You hear the siren going on, and it's going to be a massive party if Chase Elliott wins the race and becomes the championship. And for the race winner, definitely going with Kevin Harvick here. Can't go wrong with Kevin Harvick. Thinking about looking at the championship overall, I think the 750 horsepower low downforce package on this style of track will suit Brad Keselowski, and Brad Keselowski will become the champion.
I see Kevin Harvick as well winning this race. He wants to go out there and make a statement that even though he's out of the championship, don't count him out, especially for next year. When it comes to that championship, though, I'm going to be different. I'm going with Denny Hamlin. He's good at Phoenix. Everything is pretty much geared towards him. He doesn't have to worry about his teammate trying to race him against the championship. He doesn't have to worry about being at a slight disadvantage. We know the Chevrolets haven't been the fastest all year. Chase Elliott has been bringing them up towards the front. Denny Hamlin, I think, is going to go out there, get the championship, his first championship, and he would essentially make a big point to win the Daytona 500 and get the championship. That would be huge for him and the FedEx team.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be huge for him and the FedEx team. Unfortunately, out of time for today, and we want to thank you all for watching our Grit Live pre-race program, NASCAR Championship 4 Special Edition, and be sure to like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Grit Network. Leave a comment. We definitely love to hear from you. We love to have you here for our live shows so we can discuss live. But definitely have any questions or anything, feel free to leave a comment. Also we have a Patreon page. Feel free to check that out as well. Sign up for our Patreon, and shout out to Colin, our Patreon supporter. Really appreciate your support. And without the support from all of our viewers out there, none of this would be possible. And for Joe Samniego at the Grid Network, for our Australian supercars expert, Adam, I'm Kobe Lambert from the Podium Finish.net. Have a wonderful weekend and enjoy all of the racing.